Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting for March 6th, 2018. I'd like to welcome everybody to City Hall. We've got a full house tonight because we got some very special people to recognize in just a minute, but let's see who's here first. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the roll.
Director Hendricks, Director Richardson, Director Peck, here. Director Hines,
Present.
Director Wright,
Here.
Director Wyrick,
Here.
Director Compiris,
Present.
Director Fortson,
Here.
Director Adcock,
Present.
Vice Mayor Webb,
Here.
Mayor Stodola.
Here. Let me call on City Attorney Tom Carpenter for our invocation, please.
If we can have a moment of silence. Thank you for the opportunity to come together and discuss the business of the city, the business of our citizens, the needs of our people, and the goals and visions we have to accomplish them. Thank you for the opportunity to have discussion and thought as we go forward in this way to provide those things which we as men and women are allowed to provide. Thank you for the opportunity to join together in fellowship. Amen.
Amen. If you would, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As I mentioned, we have some very special guests with us tonight, and they are the finalists, semifinalists, and commended students for the National Merit Scholarship, the National Hispanic Recognition Program, and they are the best and brightest students in our city who have distinguished themselves academically, and we are so proud to be able to honor them and to recognize their accomplishments. We had a reception earlier downstairs in the rotunda with some beautiful music by the Central High Madrigal Singers, and I want to say thank you to all of you who are with us tonight, so that we can let the rest of the city check up and investigate all of the wonderful, smart students that we've got here. So we're going to do this I'm going to call on the students to come forward and introduce themselves, what school they go to, and if they have any idea what they're going to do in the future relative to either school or vocation or occupation, what they plan to major in. We'd love to have you recognize that and tell us what that's about as well. And each one of you will receive a certificate of achievement by the Board of Directors and the Mayor that recognizes and congratulates you on being a semifinalist or finalist for the National Merit Scholarship Award. I know this is a very competitive process and you're in the throes of it, and so I want to wish you all the very, very best of luck. We know that what comes from this will be literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in scholarships that you have earned because of your high distinction academically. So with that said, I know you're all smart and you've organized yourself already, so let me go ahead and ask you to start to come forward.
Hello, my name is Jack Burge, and I go to Parkview Arts and Science Magnet High School. And I'm intending on hopefully going to Texas A&M for college, majoring in either chemical or electrical engineering.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I am Noah Haynes. I attend East Stem High School. I plan on going to Arkansas State University and majoring in political science.
All right, now.
My name is Stephen Engtwako. I attend Episcopal Collegiate School, and I'm undecided both in college and in major.
Hi, my name is Anil Cheka. I go to Little Rock Central High, and I'm not sure what I'm doing next year.
It's okay. Some of us are still not sure.
Hi, my name is Paige Rayborn, and I also attend Little Rock Central High School, and I'm currently undecided on a school plan for next year.
My name is Eva Levi. I go to Episcopal Collegiate School. I'm not sure where I'm going to college, but I might be studying music.
Very good.
My name is Samuel Ree. I attend Episcopal Collegiate School, and I currently have no definite plans for next year.
Good evening. My name is Naveed Kimani. I go to Little Rock Central High School. I'd like to attend University of Southern California or University of Virginia, and I'm hoping to major in computer science and business.
I'm Connor Beerbaum. I also go to Little Rock Central High School. I don't know yet what school I'm going to, but I hope to go to WashU. I'm going to be studying business or economics. Thank you.
Hello, I'm John Ricard. I also go to Little Rock Central High School. Next year I'm going to Drake University to study actuarial science and data analytics.
Great.
My name is Rafael Estrella, and I go to Little Rock Central High School. Next year I'll be studying mechanical engineering, but I'm not sure where.
My name is James Swaim. I go to Little Rock Central High School, and next year I plan to study mechanical engineering at the University of Arkansas.
My name is Logan Jennings. I also go to Little Rock Central. I am currently undecided. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jua Zhang, also from Little Rock Central. I'll be majoring in physics at Columbia University in New York.
Hello, I'm Nimesh Vijayawardene, and I go to Little Rock Central High School, and I'm undecided about college choice, but I plan on majoring in political science.
Good evening, City Board. My name is Katie Strickland, and I go to Mount St. Mary Academy. Next year, I'll most likely be attending the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, so woo pig, and I hope to major in international studies.
Hello, my name is Michael Broadwater. I attend Catholic High School for Boys, and I'm undecided in terms of college, but I'd like to study behavioral economics.
Well, all of the we've got a couple of our principals that are with us. We got Nancy Rousseau from Central High. Nancy. Is Lisa Renshaw here from Pulaski Academy? She was with us earlier, and also Troy Urquhart from Episcopal. Troy, thank you. And we have several parents. If the parents of some of these bright students would please stand and be recognized as well. Thank you so much for instilling the discipline and the dedication for your students, your sons and daughters, to distinguish themselves. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. Director Adcock may have a comment or two. Go ahead, Director Adcock.
Oh, you also have another principal here.
Okay. Which
Principal Howard from East End.
Okay, good. Nice to have you with us. Ms. Howard from East End, the principal of East End.
Now nobody wants to be here with us.
Barbara. I want to give that to Mr. Block. Thank you. Okay, very good. We can now move on to our agenda that you have before you. Let me note that I do have a card to speak against items 2 and 3 on the consent agenda. So we'll remove those from the consent agenda. And Madam Clerk, if you would, read the consent agenda, items 1 through 12, with the exception of items 2 and 3, please.
A motion to approve the minutes of the December 5th, 2017 Board of Directors meeting and the December 12th, 2017 Little Rock City Board of Directors reconvene meeting. A resolution to set March 20th, 2018 as the date of the public hearing regarding amendments to the 2016-2020 Consolidated Plan and the 2017 Action Plan to include code enforcement activities and amend the sources and uses of 2017 CDBG funds and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Bell Chevrolet in the amount of $76,494 for the purchase of 2 Chevrolet Silverado trucks for the Little Rock Fire Department and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Hug and Haul Equipment Company in the amount of $60,886.52 for the purchase of 1 skid steer loader for the Public Works Department and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into agreement with Junior Achievement of Arkansas in the amount not to exceed $75,000 to provide work readiness training for the Summer Youth Employment Opportunity Program and for other purposes. To set March 20th, 2018 as the date for the public hearing to form and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Multipurpose Improvement District Number 2018-326 Copper Run Project and for other purposes. A resolution to set March 20th, 2018 as the date for the public hearing to form and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Multipurpose Improvement District Number 2018-327 Copper Run Recreation District and for other purposes. A resolution to set March 20th, 2018 as the date for public hearing to form and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Multipurpose Improvement District Number 2018-328 Piper Lane Project and for other purposes. A resolution to set the March 20th, 2018 as the date for the public hearing to form and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Multipurpose Improvement District Number 2018-329 Piper Lane Recreational District and for other purposes. A resolution to set March 20th, 2018 as the date for the public hearing to form and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Multipurpose Improvement District Number 2018-330 Denny Road Recreational District and for other purposes.
There's a motion and a second to adopt this consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Director Richardson? You have a question?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Bruce or Dana, on resolution number 7, I know last week we made reference to this organization having this contract of working with us for 5 years. And in addition to the work readiness training, they were part of helping us secure work sites. Is there any outcome data that can be shared with us with respect to cumulative numbers of young people trained and or work sites secured? Any information beyond just a recommendation that we can see real briefly?
Let me ask the Director of Community Programs, Ms. Doucette, to come forward.
Thank you to the mayor, to the board of directors, Vice Mayor Bruce, and Director Richardson. To answer your question, the short answer is yes. We've been trying to compile that information. It wasn't ready as soon as we would like being before this meeting, but we do have that information. I also do have Michael Sanders here, who helps to run the Summer Youth Employment Program, as well as the president, the new president of Junior Achievement is here as well. But we do have some outcome data. We do have numbers from the past years that they have been involved in the process. They shared that for the first 3 years of their contract with us with New Futures. Last year they did it by themselves, and then this year they'll be, if successful, also doing it by themselves with all of the students.
So can we get that before the week is over?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Dana.
Director Wyrick, you're recognized, please.
I have a question on item number 4. I just need clarification. I attended the Consolidated Plan meeting, and I heard one thing, and then some of the community heard another thing. So my question has to do with the funding. I know we're funding 2 code enforcement officers out of this, but they're not additional officers. To my understanding, we still have the same number that we've always had. We're just funding 2 from CDBG.
Mr. Turner.
I guess I should state that's a question or clarification.
Yeah, members of the board. Yes, we are funding 2, and we're also going to have 2 other employees that'll be working in that division as well. So it'll be
4 employees.
Yes.
But they're
they'll be
not-
working kind of cross-divisional.
But they're not new, they're existing employees.
Correct.
It's just to fund them from CDBG.
We'll have 4 funded from that. We have 2 existing already funded from CDBG, and then we have 2 others in the Code Enforcement Division. So it'll be, right now we have 38, it'll be 40 people that'll be working in
So
that
it's
division.
additional code enforcement officers.
Correct.
Yes.
When you say they're current employees, but now we're focusing on code enforcement, so an additional 2.
Their job responsibilities are being transferred to code.
They'll be doing code and community development work.
Oh, I guess that's the confusion then. They're existing employees, but we are going up in number of code enforcement officers.
Right.
Okay. Well, everybody's been confused, including me, so thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, so it'll add, additional 2 people to help
Two
in that
people.
area.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Director Adcock, you're recognized.
Since CDBG funds can only be used in certain areas of Little Rock, these code officers will only be allowed to work in those areas that
Yeah, they'll be working in low to moderate income areas.
say they're employed now, but they will become code officers. What are their employment now?
They work in community development, so they'll be working cross-divisional, and they're already paid with CDBG.
Okay, so they're going to be trained in both community development
Yes,
and
ma'am.
codes,
Yes, ma'am.
and only worked in the CDBG neighborhoods.
In the low to moderate income areas, yes.
Okay. I would like for you to get us an update on the AmeriCorps people,
Okay, and
because I know that that's coming out of CDBG funds some.
Nope,
None-
AmeriCorps,
those-
no, ma'am.
Even their supervision is not out of CDBG funds?
AmeriCorps it's its own grant program.
I would like to have an update on that by the end of the week, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wish that Mr. Moore, that staff would have this information for us ahead of time, because I had some questions, but I don't have nothing else to say. Just that staff would prepare us, that we don't have to ask these questions at board meeting. Thank you.
Very well. Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as read. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed say nay. The consent agenda is approved. We can now ask for the individual reading of resolution number 2, please, Madam Clerk.
A resolution to set March 20th, 2018 as the date of the public hearing on the appeal of the Planning Commission's denial of a planned zoning development titled 8409 Geyer Springs Road, short form PCD, located at 840 Geyer Springs Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
We have one card wish to speak against it. This is just to set the date, Mr. Muse. Is that what you wish to speak to, is to object to the date? Come forward, please. There'll be an opportunity to speak about the substance of this appeal, assuming we set the date for March 20th. And is that what you wish to?
I can wait, yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you while you're here. You also issued a card on number 3, resolution number 3 on the conditional use permit. Did you want to also wait on that as well?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there's been a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Director Wyrick, yes.
Okay, on item 3, I've done some investigating on that, and I know we're setting the public hearing, but this is a mobile home that was moved in illegally, and it's my understanding from the neighborhood that it had burned before it was moved in, and then after it was moved in, it caught on fire again, and it's not been repaired. This is in the extraterritorial boundary. And from my investigation, the mobile home ordinance has nothing to do with this inspection of this mobile home. Could I get a clarification on that? If not tonight, could we have it by the time of the public hearing on the 20th? It seems kind of odd to me that we have zoning authority, but we can't keep unsatisfactory mobile homes from coming into the city. I don't know that anybody's inspected it. If it can be inspected to see if it's safe prior to the meeting on the 20th, I would like to see that. I just have lots of questions about this whole situation.
All right, very well. We've had, we've had the reading on resolution number 2 and a motion to accept. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. That resolution is approved to set the date on March 20th. And Madam Clerk, if you would read resolution 3, please.
A resolution to set March 20th, 2018 as the date of the public hearing on the appeal of the Planning Commission's action in approving a conditional use permit to allow a multi-sectional manufactured home on the R2 Single Family District zone property located at 13324 Colonel Glen Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
There's a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 3. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The resolution is approved. That concludes the agenda items, at least part of them. And we're now at the area of citizen communication. So the first card I have is from Dr. Anthony Fletcher. Welcome, Dr. Fletcher.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor Stodolaw, board, guest. It's a privilege to be with you this evening, and I'm Dr. Anthony Fletcher. I'm an interventional cardiologist here in Little Rock, and I want to speak with you this evening about an issue that I feel is very important for our city to address. As many of you probably remember, a campaign called Smoke Free Little Rock launched late last year. Its purpose was to make our city a comprehensive smoke-free area. That means making every single indoor workplace in our city free from the deadly effects of secondhand smoke. You've been surprised to learn that there are still many places where you can smoke indoors in Little Rock. It seems odd that in 2018, with all that we know about the dangers of secondhand smoke, that this is still a fact. The negative impact that this has had on people can't be overstated. We know there's no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. We know that working an 8-hour shift in a smoking environment is equivalent to you personally smoking a pack of cigarettes yourself. Secondhand smoke increases the chances of a person having heart disease or a stroke by 30%. I'm the person that these individuals come to see. They come to me with heart attacks and strokes and complications of cardiovascular disease. I see examples of this every day, and I would like to think that we should be able to work with policies to help change this environment in which we live. We shouldn't leave one stone unturned that will hopefully improve the health of our citizens of this city. And this policy will do just that. We've fallen behind in this important work. Unfortunately, Little Rock is one of 18 capital cities that still aren't covered by a comprehensive smoke-free law. Over 900 cities across the country have comprehensive smoke-free laws, including cities like New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Jacksonville, and St. Louis. We should join these cities in taking that small but important step, simply asking smokers to step outside. Tonight, I'm asking that in the coming months that you adopt a comprehensive smoke-free ordinance and add Little Rock to those distinguished cities that put the health of its citizens first, as I'm sure we all want to do. I thank you for this moment.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher. Thank you very much. Mayor. Hit your button, please. Thank you, Dr. Fletcher. Director Peck. Just leave it on.
It's hard to leave it alone. It's flashing at me. Thank you so much. I'm very interested in what you've just said. It's something that I've been working on too. I have a question. I want to just clarify. This is indoor smoking. It doesn't pertain to outdoors, right? We're not regulating that.
That is correct. This is an indoor policy. Individuals would still have the option to step outside to smoke.
So, for instance, if somebody happened to be at a restaurant like Trios at 8201 Cantrell, they could smoke on the patio. Sorry.
They could smoke
on the patio.
outside, yes, ma'am. But indoors, if this policy is in effect, they would not be able to smoke without request to leave the premises.
Another question I had, and I'm sure there's research here, what about any sort of economic impact on businesses or other communities that have done this? Can you speak to that issue?
I would be happy to. And before we answer your direct question, let's talk about the economic impact that it has on our healthcare costs. We pay over $1 billion in healthcare costs in this state for smoking-related illnesses. And work-related loss of productivity is about $2 billion. When we look across the country at places where they've adopted the smoke-free policy, those cities have not suffered. Their businesses, for example, New Orleans has not suffered business-wise from the fact that they have smoke-free environments.
One final question. Any other cities in Arkansas that have a smoke-free ordinance?
Unfortunately, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher.
Appreciate your time.
You know, the state passed a statute a few years back that provided for smoke-free, but it did carry some exceptions which are outlined, and I know that we are complying with that portion of it, and this is a request to go further as it relates to certain other areas that are permitted under the state statute in terms of indoor smoking. So I'm curious to know whether or not this request is also going to be made of our sister city to the north, North Little Rock? Are you going to be making that request of them as well? Okay, good. Just want to know. I know that some people have urged that it happen countywide or with all the cities in the county, and so certainly I think that's something that would be helpful as well. I don't think the air is not restricted just to the city of Little Rock. All right, very good. Thank you. Oh, yes, excuse me, Director Wright, go right ahead, please.
I had a question. I don't know if you can answer it, but do you know how many restaurants allow smoking? Because I've not been in I know bars maybe, sure, but I'm not aware of any restaurants that allow you to smoke.
Unfortunately, I don't have that data. Perhaps we can look at some of the people behind the policy and see if we can get that number for you.
Okay. I think that'd be interesting to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Like I say, I know about bars. You can smoke in some bars, but I don't know of any restaurants.
But this would cover not only restaurants, but also working environments.
Bars.
No, working environments where you do your daily activities in terms of making your daily living, offices.
I don't know of any offices that allow smoke. Okay, okay.
Good, thank you.
I thought we were doing that. Mr. Moore?
Director Wyrick, you're recognized, please.
On the restaurants, the mayor made reference to the exceptions. If you do not allow anyone under 21, then you can have you can allow smoking. So it's the under 21 litmus test.
Okay, that's the test. Okay, thank you.
Director Wyrick, please go ahead.
It was my understanding that North Little Rock and Little Rock were not going to be approached at the same time. And I saw you shaking your head up and down. So are you going to try to push this in Little Rock and then go to North Little Rock, or are you going to do it in concert?
I think come forward, please, and identify yourself to answer Director Wyrick's question.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Matt Henry. I'm with the American Heart Association.
One of the Matts at the Heart Association.
That's right. That's right. We had a little mix-up, but I'm one of them, the less attractive one. To answer your question, it is something that we would like multiple cities to act on, obviously. But what we want to do is have Little Rock as the capital city take the lead and take the be the leader on this issue. Of course, it's something that we want to see as many cities across the state, and we're having those conversations. But we want Little Rock to act first, to be the leader as the capital city on this issue.
And I think from our conversation, didn't you say that there was cigar shop, or there were opportunities to smoke in situations like that? Could you clarify that?
So, yes, ma'am. I would anticipate, and this would be up to the board and obviously the mayor as we talk about this going forward, but there would be still opportunities and some common sense exemptions that would be in the law. For instance, for businesses that are actual tobacco in nature, and you mentioned cigar bars. That would be one of them. This ordinance, I would not anticipate would address those businesses. Those businesses are tobacco in nature. That's not what we're trying to target.
Yeah, it's mostly hotels, bars, and restaurants.
Yes, ma'am. restaurants. If you, the restaurant or bar, difference doesn't really matter. It's just the 21 above, as, Mr. Moore said.
And then hotels,
Yes, ma'am.
hotel, motel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Director Fortson.
Matt,
Yes, sir.
just to further clarify Director Peck's question, I've been in a couple of cities where these ordinances exist, but they're like a bar that is complying can still have a patio connected with it where people can go outside and smoke in that patio when, as long as it's the open air.
That's right. Yes, sir.
And then, and I guess some of these may exist here, may not, certain specific clubs where they have cigar lounges are often exempted from the restrictions, as long as it's only in that cigar lounge, so.
Yes, sir. It depends. You know, every ordinance is different, but to the point of the outdoor air, yes. Typically, those patios are, you know, that area is left to the business owner to decide if they want to make that. There are some businesses in town that restrict some or all of the patio to be smoked, but that's left up to the business owner. This ordinance wouldn't address anything like that. We would just be talking about just indoor air. It'd be up to the business owners what they wanted to do with their patios and things.
So really what you're talking about pursuing is stopping all secondhand smoke within the confines of four walls and ceiling.
Yes,
in
sir.
a
That's
business
what we're talking
environment.
about. Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Mayor.
Matt. All right, the next card I have is from Valerie Tatum. Valerie, if you'd come forward, please, about city programs and I Promise.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Board members, Bruce Moore, and to a portion of my I Promise team. I come tonight to really give you the information that you don't have. And this information around I Promise, the program, the city program that we started, we wrote the grants, the contracts, and we have 3. And I stand here simply overwhelmed with community programs, but I want to be clear. Dana, Michael Sanders are phenomenal, phenomenal individuals. I think you're committed when you start making calls at 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night to help clarify some things that have gone wrong. And I definitely want to give Joan Adcock a shout out, one of the homegirls in Southwest Little Rock. So thank you so much. I called her, and there was a push that 2017, the I Promise City of Fire Community Development, we were awarded 3 programs, PPP 6 through 11, YIP citywide intervention and prevention programs, which is 13 to 19-year-olds. I started a conversation with Barbara Osborne, and the mere PR, the disrespect. I stand here today still overwhelmed with the PR and the disrespect. I don't think I'm necessarily speaking for City of Fire Community Development, I Promise. I think I'm really speaking for the community programs that have partnered with the City of Little Rock to say that we're going to take care of youth citywide. So, to my point on tonight, we received an award letter January the 27th. From that point, I asked for startup money. Then I go into emails with Barbara Osborne. The emails begin to say, I'm on Let me get my notes here.
Valerie, you've got about 3 seconds.
Okay, well, and I understand, but
This
to
is
the
really
point.
a staff issue, and I'd ask you
What-
to bring it up with the management staff.
Sir?
If there is a complaint about it, and then
And I've done
we'll
that.
try and resolve that.
I've done that. I've done that. And I say now that I will stand here again next month. Next month.
Maybe not.
And the next month, because there's something must happen to an individual that's an eyesore.
You, again,
And that's asking us to pay our own money.
Valerie, please respect the process if you would, and if you'll bring that to our attention, bring it to the manager's attention, we'll try and get you some answers on what your complaint is. Thank you. Go ahead, Director Hendricks.
I would like to suggest, I don't know this woman's name, but those kind of complaints should go to administration. I'm not here to solve employee problems. So if you have a problem, you should go to Mr. Moore and not to this body. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, do you want to comment on something?
I was made aware of the issue late last week, a meeting on Thursday, and I believe I have the issues resolved.
Very good, thank you. Okay, next card I have is from Mr. Russ Raycop on FOI matters and political contributions. Mr. Raycop.
Good evening, Mayor, Board. Tonight I have two short issues to address with you. One is on campaign contributions. I believe that ordinance that's out there that's had a lot of questions about it was set up, was a short fundraising window to prevent campaign handouts tied to pending city board votes throughout a director's term. That particular ordinance was ineffective in terms of campaign limitations and keeping special interest money out of the hands of directors. Of particular concern would be where the Chamber of Commerce could use some of that $600,000 that's been given to them in the last 2 years for economic development to fund some political action committee who in turn could channel that money back to one of the members on the board in form of a campaign contribution. We don't have, unlike Mr. Cheshire stated last week, we don't have any clear transparency on how that money is used. The forms that the city manager's office sent me about how that money was spent, you could tell that they spent it, but you couldn't tell where it went. Attorney Matt Campbell, who's also a fellow blogger, had sent an FOI request to that transparent agency, the Chamber of Commerce, and they basically told him to shove it. And when he sent one to the city, he got 3 documents. One was a email about some meetings and something like that, but there was nothing about any how the funding or any reports that were sent to them. So I think that says it all. That ties in with my FOI issue. I have 6 outstanding FOI requests to the City of Little Rock dating back since December 24th. I've had numerous contact with the city attorney, and he has tried to help and go in on this, but I think this is an area that's not his job function, is not to be the gatekeeper for freedom of information requests. I would urge the board, city manager, to look at funding a position that handles FOI requests so that they can receive those, get them to the correct agency or that needs to have that, monitor the timely response, make sure that the pertinent redactions are made and that the responses are given out in a timely manner, because it's going to end up in a lawsuit like this where the city is going to be embarrassed and have a judge tell them, you know, you should have answered this when he asked for it, and then, you know, that's where you go with that. I appreciate your time, and please take those into consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Raycop. The money that is done for economic development goes into a specific fund, and it does not get commingled with any other funds that the chamber has. We do get reports on that, and if you have not gotten them, I'm sure that we can make sure that you get the audited report, the annual audit report, and then they do a quarterly report as well that tells what activities they've done. So I just want to make sure for people who are listening or watching that these issues are not just left unanswered or at least not covered. Certainly, I can tell you that those monies do not wind up as campaign contributions. So I think that's not a correct statement. If you've got information to correct that, then we'll certainly be happy to take that. Mr. Moore, yes.
I do want to let the board know that I've already begun the process with our Director of Human Resources regarding a staff person to coordinate the FOI request and follow up. That's been in the works for probably, we talked about it for a while, and just the advent of the number of requests we get, you all get. Stacey Witherall, our Director of Human Resources, has that charge, and I expect to be getting a job description and determining where we place it soon.
Very good. Director Hendricks, yes, go ahead, please.
Mr. Moore, how soon will that information be available? That tells us when and where we can get the information back from the FOI. Because I've had problems too, and I ignored it, but I'm tired of ignoring it.
Well, and I think the reason the city attorney's office gets involved, because there are certain things that we can't release, and we always want to be sure that not only we're releasing everything we're supposed to, but the things that we're not allowed by law to release needs to be reviewed. So that's why Tom's office not becomes a gatekeeper, but the reviewer of the request and the follow-up. So we're going to continue to try to meet the standards of the law. What I'm suggesting is there needs to be a coordinator that gets those requests, because the requests come from not only all over, but to all 14 departments directly, and sometimes we're not even aware that there's an FOI request. So that's why I wanted to create this position to be the coordinator, the conduit, so to speak, for all requests and follow-up.
So getting that person is in the making?
Correct.
How soon will that be?
I expect to have a job description soon, and then we'll just start the process of hiring.
A week or 2 weeks? Give me something.
I need to look at it. I've asked them to look across the country, but the difference is, and as Tom has told us, our laws are so much different. And so I'm not sure how helpful that's been, but I expect to get something from HR in the next week or so.
So is Attorney Carpenter in agreement with what you're trying to do?
We've talked about that. He is. I'll let him say that. But.
Tell me, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
All right, thank you. That concludes our citizen communication. We can now move on to item 13, which is a public hearing. Let me go ahead and open up the public hearing on the abandonment of an unnamed street and ask for the reading of the ordinance, please.
An ordinance to approve the abandonment of an unnamed street right-of-way located west of South University Avenue, running south from Midtown Avenue in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to approve the abandonment of an unnamed street right-of-way located west of South University Avenue, running south from Midtown Avenue in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to approve the abandonment of an unnamed street right-of-way located west of South University Avenue, running south from Midtown Avenue in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this ordinance? Seeing none, let me go ahead and close the public hearing and ask for a vote. All in favor of the passage of the ordinance indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The ordinance is passed. The next item on our agenda is the executive session, but for those of you who are in the audience, after we finish, this is for the appointment to boards and commissions. And so we'll be in recess for a brief period of time. When we finish that, we're then going to go into an agenda meeting to set the agenda for our March 20th meeting. So I think there may be some people here who wish to stay for that. We hopefully will be back very shortly from our executive session.
Mayor,
Yes. All right, if you'll press your light, please. Go ahead.
agree. To the board and to the mayor, I am concerned, and I have been communicating with Attorney Carpenter about boards and commissions. We have too many people that serve on more than one board or commission. And I had asked Tom that I would like to present, I prefer an ordinance, if it's in order, to be presented at our next meeting where this would happen. And I've got lots of complaints, and I can even go further by saying certain wards do not have board commissioners or, so Tom, that's what I'm interested in. Then he will prepare.
Director Henderson, are you saying there are individuals, multiple individuals who are serving on more than one board or commission?
I wouldn't say that if I didn't know it.
Okay, well, it'd be very helpful if you would also give a list of those to us so we can.
No, that's not my job. That's Tom's job. We didn't prepare the ordinance. I can even look at what we're doing today. Yeah. Mayor, I don't have to do that. I'm asking Tom to prepare it. Thank you.
Yes, Director Richardson.
Move we go into executive session.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, we are in executive session and we will be back shortly. I told him not to leave. I was going to recognize him. Okay, we're back in, is there a motion to go back into session? Is there a second? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, saying nay. We're back in session, returning from our executive session for appointments, and let me go ahead and get to those. The first one is to our Arts and Culture Commission. And I would like to reappoint Alice Allred, Allison Gatton, Christina Littlejohn, and Kelly Fleming, and appoint Corey Hufty, Wanda Hoover, and Ray Scott. Is there a motion to confirm? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Those people are appointed. The next board is the Board of Adjustment. I would like to appoint James Bertram to The Board of Adjustment is the representative of the Little Rock Real Estate Board. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay, and we will advertise in a currently open at-large position, continuing. The next is our City Beautiful Commission. And I would like to appoint Janet Wilson, Michael Harvey, and Michael Mason. Is there? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. They are approved. To our Commission on Children, Youth, and Families. I would like to reappoint Michelle Coleman, Sekia Brown, and Beth Eccles.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? They are approved. On our Community Housing Advisory Board, I would like to appoint Tiffany Myers to the Neighborhood Association representative position. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. She's approved. And we will advertise 4 positions that are currently open there, representing various entities. One is for-profit corporations, one is community development corporations, one is a landlord of property within the city of Little Rock, and one is a real estate business community representative. So if you know of anybody that fits any of those kind of categories, please let us know and urge them to apply. On our Land Bank Commission, I would like to reappoint Laura McKinney and Jennifer Herron, and appoint Ken Wade, Monique Sanders, and Al Moore Jr. Is there a motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. They are approved. On our Parks and Recreation Commission, I would like to reappoint David Coleman and appoint Grayson Hinojosa, Ren Brezink, Mark Miller, Matt Buey, Bill Simpson, and Porter Brownlee. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. They're approved. On the Little Rock Zoo Board of Directors, I would like to reappoint Blake Perry and appoint Gabriel Mallard. Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. They are approved. Our Midtown Redevelopment District number 1 Advisory Board, I would like to appoint Keith Cox as the Planning Commission representative. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And we will re-advertise a position for a commercial property representative in that area. On the Oakland and Fraternal Historic Cemetery Park Board, I would like to appoint Christopher Stewart and Jenny Pumphrey. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. They're approved. And on our Racial and Cultural Diversity Commission, I would like to reappoint Britt Johnson, Travis Rowan, Juliana Flynn, Rachel Bournet, and Julius Larry. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And then I'd like to further appoint Ellen Brown, Jasmine Phillips, Keith Martin, and Amber Booth. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. They are approved. And for our final one for the evening, the Sister Cities Commission, I'd like to reappoint Melanie Berman and Robert Zeiler and appoint Melanie Scott, Brandon Morris, and Kelly Bass. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, saying nay. They are also approved. Thank you very much. Director Hendricks, You're recognized, please.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, would you encourage Victor and his group to do something with 2600 Chester rather than telling me who lives there and blah, blah, blah? I've been looking at that house for 11 years.
Director Hendricks, I went over there with the staff about 2 weeks ago, and it's been boarded and secured.
I don't want that.
Well, what would you like for us to do?
Contact the owner and see what they can do. Well, why should we do it?
We've been in
And if I have to be redundant, you cannot see a house like this nowhere in West Little Rock. Okay? Now, do you want me to sue the city?
I'm asking you what you would like for me to do. I mean,
Treat this house as if it was in Ward 3.
I treat the house wherever it is, Director Hendricks.
No, you don't. Why have I been looking at that house for 11 years? With broken windows.
The windows are
grass
not.
6 feet high. I see it every day, Bruce. You don't see it.
Director Hendricks, I was out there. I went and visited with the individual who's taking care of the structure.
Who is that?
It's the gentleman that lives right down across the street.
Brian.
He's the grandson, or
I know him. I know when he was born.
okay. And have you talked to him? I mean, they're the ones that own the home.
Yeah, then it's your responsibility to tell them that I'm complaining about. Brian knows I'm complaining about the house.
He does know, but I mean, it's boarded, it's secured. I don't know, Victor, did we ever get inside it?
It's in bad shape. It was hit with the tornado. Don't come in with no funny stories. Please.
Yes, ma'am. We went out there, Bruce and our staff, and we used our material Secure View. We were able to get inside the structure, and we boarded them all with a clear material. It looks like window. It looks like regular glass. And I believe the grandson said he was going to get the growth off the exterior of the house taken care of as well.
I'm not satisfied. And the neighbors, I'm complaining because my neighbors are concerned. Okay?
And I know he put a new roof on recently as well.
No, that's a lie. I live across the street. You're not talking to.
The roof looks pretty good.
Of who?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Bruce, do something with the house. I'm going to say it again. A house like that does not exist in 3, 4, 5. Okay? Now, do I have to deal with it from a discriminatory position? Thank you. You don't have to answer that. Thank you.
Director Wright, you're recognized.
Yes, Mayor. I would like Mr. Turner to let me know what the status is on the house on Bryant Street. You told me last time I asked that the gentleman whoever owned it had submitted some paperwork from the SBA, which of course has nothing to do with single-family residential buildings. Do you have a report on that? Okay, thank you.
Very good. All right, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? So moved. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed saying nay. We're in adjournment. We can now move into the agenda meeting for the March 20th meeting. We're going to have a employee recognition, retirement, and then if you'll see, we've got, if there's no objection, we will add the M1 resolution to the agenda. And let me ask if you have any questions on items 1 through 7, including M1. Any questions? Director Adcock.
I would like to know a little bit more about M1. Mr. Moore, why would we trade property for a sculpture? Or Mr. Carpenter, maybe you're the trader.
Director Adcock, this got added today. There's a board communication that goes into this. The city only owns the land underneath the parking deck at 7th and Scott, and Metro Center owns the deck. You may remember that there was a chance or an attempt to, the city was asked a few years ago simply to give that away, and the answer to that was that we thought that we should get something reasonable in return. At the time that the Pitt City put money into the deck, the amount we put in was $500,000, and I think the total amount was $650,000. The sculpture in question at the time that it was purchased for $185,000. The artist, who is well known, is now dead, which evidently makes everything that he did worth that much more. So for a deck that we don't know that we're going to be able to have any real control over ever. We're getting control over a world-renowned sculpture that has significant value and will be able to be a centerpiece not only in MacArthur Park initially, but is guaranteed to always be within the city of Little Rock. So it was seen as a good trade.
Does it keep the Metro Center Improvement District from selling the property?
No.
There's no restrictions on, once we trade for the sculpture, there's no restrictions on the property.
That's right. I mean, they already own the deck, and they would own the underlying land.
Okay.
To further add to this, the sculpture now is extraordinarily valuable. It's probably in excess of $3 million in terms of its value, and the ability to have it showcased with the renovation or the expansion of the Arts Center, which we all had a chance to have a view of, is a really great opportunity, number one.
Then do we
Number
keep-
two is that the Downtown Partnership manages the deck, and ultimately that improvement district will probably go into extinction upon the payment, the ultimate repayment of the bonds. And at that point in time, the understanding from those at the Metro Center Improvement District is that they will deed that deck back over as a city asset to the city, for which then we would probably continue to contract with the Downtown Partnership to manage it.
Will there be, do we maintain ownership of it while the Art Center has it?
Yeah, the Arts
It
Center.
will always be in the name of the city, and it can't leave the city without this board's approval.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Director Hendricks.
This
Any
is-
questions on items 1 through 7?
No, it's next.
Okay,
It's
we
an
can move
individual.
on to items 8 through 12. Any questions on those? Director Hendricks. No? Director Richardson.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like a presentation on number 12, please.
Call on our planning director, Mr. Collins.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board. Director Richardson, Scott, if you could bring up the zoning map on that one. I'll best explain where we're at. Okay, if you look at it, it's located on Laurel Springs Road. What they're looking to do, the applicant, is they're wanting to sell the property. Currently, the property is owned R2, and that's because it was built and occupied prior to annexation into the city. So it come in, and it is, and has been a non-conforming use. It has been several things. It has also been an auto repair business at some point in time. And so what they're looking to do is rezone it to planned development commercial. Now, originally, they had come in, and wanting a wide gambit of uses. They have since reduced their request for usage to have no auto-related activities on the property. They want to mainly make it a C3 zoning, general commercial zoning district. They've excluded a bar, lounge or tavern, beverage shop, hotel or motel, and multifamily, and then non-auto related.
So what are they proposing again?
Just general C3 use zoning, but they've put some exclusions in there. Instead of listing a specific use, they've put more uses in that C3. They've excluded some.
But they haven't had any specificity with respect to what they're planning on putting there?
No, they're
Just
looking
other than
to.
is what they're excluding?
They're looking to rezone it to sell it, so they don't know really specifically what use is going to go in there. They're trying to get it as broad as use as they can. And then we requested in that C3, because of the location to adjacent properties on the residential, the outdoor operation of auto repair. Like tires was a little bit different, but staff was concerned with repair of engines and stacking of vehicles out there, so we was asking them to limit the C3 use. on there, but still give them enough room that they could sell to somebody, for some other C3 uses.
So those are based on staff recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions on items 8 through 12? All right, hearing none, let's move on to the separate items. We have a condemnation ordinance in 13. Director Adcock, did I? Oh, okay, pictures.
These are commercial structures. There are, and that's where we probably have to utilize brownfield, potential brownfield development.
Okay, looks like there's some questions on these items. Director Richardson, you're first, please.
Yes, Mayor. Bruce, I think you may have talked a little bit about what my question will be, but I know a while back we had looked at obtaining some brownfield assessment and cleanup grants with respect to that property on 12th Street. Did we abandon that idea, or did we recognize there wasn't any funding available? Because I think that there was a real concerted attempt to finding funding with respect to brownfield assessment and cleanup to find those kinds of opportunities for utilization. So did we just abandon that altogether? Or
No, I mean, the developer was pursuing those, but I don't think he could ever get control of the property. I think that was the issue there.
Control meaning ownership?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Director Adcock, you're recognized, please.
I've got a question for Mr. Collins, please.
Mr. Collins? So our building codes managers, Mr. Gibbons, he might have more detail.
Oh, he brought him to help? Good.
Sure did.
Mr. Collins, I talked to you today about the 3724 West 12th Street. I understand that it was a topic of conversation at a Jump Start meeting about using this for another commercial use and removing the damaged property off the back of it. Did you check on that after I talked with you?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Most of those conversations was held with the Jump Start members themselves about what could potentially happen to that site.
Mm-hmm.
There has not been any commercial entity that has stepped up and made any official, request or any intent to come in and redevelop that site. It is just, conversations at this point of intent of want to redevelop, and we've been working on the site for a while. And Mr. Givens can talk a little bit about more detail if you want that, about timeframes.
The brownfield, that would be available for individuals who would want to redo their site also, correct? Not just government?
Not just government, but it also, the brownfield is based upon the contamination, and underground storage tanks are listed on the state as whether they're leaking or not. And it's to clean up that, pretty much the gasoline or the carbon, contamination on the site.
So if there is someone that's interested in looking at this, is it like the housing that if they come forward on the 20th with a proposal, then this could be taken off of the agenda?
if they come forward with a proposal, I would encourage that they would present a time frame for do this for a commercial property, so it's just not sitting out there. We've been working on this property, trying to get them to do something for multiple years. And I would like to see this, be redeveloped. We don't necessarily want to tear down anything in the city, but we'd like it be redeveloped, but that's just not seemed what's been happening to this property.
Also, in talking to you today, you said that there was quite a few businesses or business locations that you have on your list for this year to have torn down. How many businesses do you have on your list to look at demolishing?
Currently, we wanted to do 3 a quarter. And so right now we have enough to do to the first quarter. I believe that is, we have like 14 properties. Yeah, about 14 properties.
I wish you would look at Asher Avenue because I think you've got just probably about that many on Asher Avenue too. And I'm glad to see this other one on Asher is on this list.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hendricks, you're recognized.
It has to do with the many, many photos we're looking at from Ward 1. And you talk about crime in the city. That's why we have it. We sit here and let these properties sit and sit. I'm not blaming you, Bruce. I'm blaming this board and everybody else. There's no sense in this many houses and the condition that they are in now, where they should have been demolished years ago. It's a low-down shame. And you all can sit here and be quiet as you want to be, and sometimes it takes you all 2 or 3 months to get these properties torn down. So Bruce, speed it up, spend some money, and get these houses down within 60 days. What? And I want to thank John Honeywell because he did take care of a property for Bruce and myself at on Ringo. So the owner and John and maybe some other staff persons met with the owner of the property on Ringo, and he's satisfied. Thanks, John.
All right, very good. Okay, anything more on items through the end of the agenda, through the public hearing, items 19? Well, actually, through, items 19. Okay, Director Hendricks, did you have a question on another item?
Well, Mr. Carpenter, I think at the last meeting I talked about preparing an ordinance that would deal with board members, and that's something I would love for Tom to prepare as an ordinance for us to vote on, removing, having these 2 and 3 so-called whoever they think they are, serve on 2 and 3 boards and commissions. It's unfair. We have too many residents for 2 or 3 people. I guess they're important or something. I don't know what they are. I just talk flat, okay? Prepared, thank you.
Director Fortson, you're recognized, please.
Item number 18. Mr. Collins?
Yes, all right, Mr. Collins is going forward.
I received some comments on this application, this conditional use permit, primarily based upon the history of the structure that's no longer there, with some 54 reported police calls to the area in a short period of time. I don't know what your investigation examination of the application showed, but I'd be interested in the I think I read in your write-up that it was typical of the use of other structures in the area, but I'd be interested in, because I know she also had a divided planning commission vote, 5-4, I think. But anyway, I'd be interested in your comments
Okay,
and findings.
Director Fortson, what this is, the property, the applicant, it was an existing mobile home they was using. They're wanting to do a conditional use. I believe what Director Robert was talking about is when the previous one burned down, that was there. And then they moved another larger one in on the property. And that was what turned it into conditional use. We went out there on a complaint for that and cited the change because they changed the size, of the mobile home. There was one registered objector at the Planning Commission, and it was split, as you say. The objector brought up several statements regarding the looks of the property. Like you said, the police called out to a property. This is in the extraterritorial. We do not have police jurisdiction out there for that, nor do we have what would be any other code enforcement out there other than zoning. So for the use that they are doing, out there, and in the fact while we supported that was a mobile home facility out there, then that is what we supported.
Question for Mr. Carpenter. When you get into land use questions like this, whether it's ETJ or in the city, is the law enforcement history of a structure a viable action for us to, viable factor for us to consider in that action?
From a land use standpoint, actually, no. To give you an idea, you may have a home where a tenant, an owner, is selling narcotics. And there are numerous calls out there, but that person is out and a new owner is there, and they wish to expand the home or they wish to do something different with the home. The question needs to focus upon the use of the home.
Well, I guess in order to help the person who inquired on this, I guess we got a little dilemma here in that we have no police powers, as Jamie pointed out, in this area, and any police coverage, I suppose, or any enforcement of nuisance statutes would be left up to the county.
Director Fortune, that's not a question I can answer right now. What I can tell you is that our district courts can never consider zoning issues in the extraterritorial district because until January of last year, their jurisdiction was limited to the corporate limits of the city. I think that they could consider that now, and there's some changes that we're looking at in that regard. I don't think we can go as far as just a normal law enforcement exercise of the police power, but zoning is an exercise of the city's police power, and that's why I can't give you just a clear answer.
Thank both of you.
No.
Thank you, Jamie.
I also want to pull out that this appeal was brought up by the record objector, that it was approved at the Planning Commission, and that this appeal was brought out, from them.
I mentioned today, and Mr. Collins didn't get the benefit to hear it, there was a short period of time where we would just have the ordinance before you as to whether or not to approve the land use issue, so that yes meant yes and no meant no, as opposed to a backwards ordinance. And I'd recommend that we put these ordinances in that same context.
Well, that's fine. If you want to work with the clerk to make sure we do that, that'd be great.
And then, if I may, one more thing, your Mayor, there are 5 ordinances that you all will be getting on the actual laying out of the improvement districts. They were not prepared for tonight, and I'm still working with Mr. Menz on those.
Yeah, I'm going to get to you all here.
Yeah.
Are you finished? Okay, very good. Director Wyrick, you're next, please.
Well, as you know, I brought this up probably out of order in the last meeting that we had, but I'm very concerned about this property and this mobile home that's being brought into the extraterritorial boundary. It's my understanding that when we have the extraterritorial boundary set up to prepare for a future annexation, and I would think that if we're doing that, then we'd want to make sure that what we were zoning would be appropriate for bringing into the city. There was a mobile home there before, and it burned. This mobile home that's in there now, this 2005 model mobile home, was burned before he brought it into the city. He repaired it and brought it into the city. and it's caught fires again since he brought it into the city. So we seem to have a history of fires here, according to the neighborhood. 54 police responses to the property. He has some other property in the area, and I'm told that he's had fires there as well. So I'm worried about a conditional use permit for a mobile home in our extraterritorial boundary, and we don't have the authority to look at it like we would in any other mobile home. We'd go through it and make sure it was safe. Of course, it's not safe now because it's burned again, and he says he's not going to do anything until he gets the permit from us to do this. But there's just a lot of questions in my mind about whether this is a quality development that we want to bring into the city. The area is not well maintained, and the person that's brought this objection forward says that she's gone to the county, and the county says that they have no regard in trying to clean that up. It's up to the city of Little Rock. So it's just a bad situation, and I would like for us to take this under careful consideration because of the circumstances in and around this property, the owner of the property, the current mobile home that's there, and the history of the other properties that have been there. I have a question, and part of this was that he had to give you the model of the mobile home, which he did, it's a 2005 model. And the other thing was that he had to have verification from the volunteer fire department that the mobile home was okay, I guess. Did we get that kind of information from the owner of the mobile home?
I'll have to get back to you. I don't have it here in the write-up that we received that information.
But we asked for it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and so when the volunteer fire department looks at that, are we saying that that's really our review of the structure?
Well, as explained in the extraterritorial, our fire department doesn't go out there, so they would have to be the one to look at it and review it. It would not be the city's fire department to go out there.
Well, I guess I'm asking what kind of review would they be doing?
I can't answer that specific question because I'm not,
Director
Yeah.
Warwick,
What
even though our
document would
department
you
may
get
not,
from them? Just a minute. What document would you get from them? Have you seen a document from a volunteer fire department that acknowledges the property development? What kind of information would it have on it?
I'd have to get with them and get back with you. I don't know what the information is.
Okay, well, I definitely want to see that before we have the meeting on the 20th. That's why I'm raising these questions now, is because I want to have as much information about it before the 20th as I can get. Okay, Tom?
I was going to say that in terms of the safety issue on the inspection, that there's nothing that would keep our fire chief from asking for the same type of inspection we would do if the structure was inside the city limits of the city of Little Rock, because that is a quality of life issue that goes along with the police power on zoning. I also think that if you want to deny this because they want a conditional use for a specific manufactured home that doesn't meet the various requirements, that would be appropriate, not because you're denying it, but because it's premature until we get that other issue there, which is a little bit different than just the number of calls issue that was raised before.
Well,
And
seems
you
to
weren't
have
out
a
of
lot
order
of
before.
fires, you know?
Yeah. You weren't out of order before because before was whether to set this for a public hearing on this date. So you were
I'm in order now. I can ask
you were in
questions.
order then too.
Okay, well, I wanted to get as much information prior to us voting on this as I could get. And at this point, the information I have is from the person that's filing the appeal. And it's my understanding that she was a member of that volunteer fire department out there, and that's why she knows so much about the history of the property. So if we can get that acknowledgement, if we can get the fire chief, he was here, I thought.
I think.
No, he left at a good time. If we could get the fire department to take a look at that, that mobile home to see if it's acceptable. Of course, it will not be now because it's burned again. Well, I don't know if it is or it isn't, but you would assume that if it was burned, that it would not be livable or there'd be some issues. But if we could get them to look at it and not totally ignore the fact that, there's a possibility that it's not a good structure for this conditional use permit. I think that's all the questions I had.
Okay, Director Adcock.
Jamie, this is about a half a mile past Joe's Grocery on your way to Lake Nixon. Now, out there, all those homes are big. They sit on hillsides. They've got horses. They've got fences and everything. So right here in the front of it, you got a burned-up mobile home, and then one brought in that now is a burned-up mobile home. It doesn't fit, and I don't know how you felt like it fit into this community. Huh? Oh, they saw one on the road? Okay. But it does not fit right in that area. And I'm like Director Wyrick and Director Fortson. I think that we need to relook at this. And who's going to say that this mobile home is being fixed if no one is in control of it? And I see we're sitting here, we're going to put a burned-up mobile home in a rural area, and that just doesn't fit. Thank you.
Okay.
There's another issue, Director Adcock, and that is the question to allow this conditional use permit for a manufactured home is different from allowing a permit for this specific manufactured home. The question that's going to be before the board is not this home, but should any manufactured home be there?
Yeah.
And it seems to me, and I'll talk to Mr. Collins in the interim, that assuming that the thing has burned and that it has not been repaired, since it is the way it's been presented for this particular home, it's really kind of moot, and the issue ought to be sent back to the commission to say, this place isn't habitable, deny this permit.
Back to the Plan Commission. I think that's a great idea.
No,
All
you're
right.
not in a meeting now.
We'll take care of that on the 20th, one way or the other. Director Hendricks.
Mr. Moore, you want some more gunfire? Back to 2600 Chester. I bring this up again because boarding that house up does not help with the value of my house and other people in that block. And I think my house is as large as that house we're talking about. So think about the property value. And I do know the mother, she is living, so I'll just have to help you all with that. Not the son, the mother is living. And I can tell you when I see you privately where she lives, okay? I want something done with that house, and I don't want it boarded up, okay? And I'm serious, okay? I want this house to be treated, I'm being redundant, as if it was in the white neighborhood, if I have to be blunt with it. Come on with me, we better be prepared.
So we talk about not or trying to save housing stock.
I don't want to hear it.
I'm asking a question, and so are you asking the staff to consider bringing forward for condemnation?
No. The family can prepare that house or sell it. I don't have to look at that house. Bruce, you better hear what I'm saying, and I'm not playing. This house would not be in a white neighborhood for 30 years. That house has been sitting there ever since the tornado and prior to the tornado, okay? So do something with it. Don't come bringing this thing to me about tearing down houses. You tear it down if it was in their neighborhood. I don't like to fuss in public, but sometimes I have to because that's what my constituents want.
Okay. All right. If there's no other items, then we are finished with the agenda. I notice that Mr. Richardson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Bruce, a couple of weeks ago, we approved street resurfacings, 2018 street resurfacings for wards 4 and 5. And I believe I asked for, did we have a report on street resurfacing across the city by ward? And I was told that we did, and I think I asked for a report. And to date, I've yet to receive a report either through the Pony or email and wondering where we are on that. 'Cause there was a report I requested 2 weeks ago with respect to that same kind of description and outline of street resurfacing throughout the whole city by ward.
Yeah, I think it's due this Friday. So,
Okay, thank you. That's it, man.
Okay, very good. I noticed that we got a memorandum from Tom concerning Judge Fox's ruling. You all take a look at that, and then we'll set that up for discussion on the March 20th. If there's no other business, we're adjourned. Thank you.